Welcome back, my bearded brethren. Today we are going to be diving into a cult classic, a game that is honestly unlike anything else that was released back in the 2000s. We're talking about Psychonauts. Now, I had never heard of this game actually until I saw a video of Moist Critical actually talking about how it was one of his favorite games back in the day. So I wanted to give it a try because I've never played it before. And let me tell you, this is literally a game that asks the important questions in life, like what if summer camp was run by psychic secret agents? Or what if the greatest enemy wasn't a monster but your childhood trauma? Or what if your brain got stolen and shoved into a tank made of radioactive meat? Yeah, this game is a bit weird, but it's a good kind of weird. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I went back and played Psychonauts in 2025, a full 20 years later after it first dropped, to see if this game is actually as good as I've heard. And I've got some thoughts, some good, some rough, some that made me wonder how kids in 2005 handled this much emotional damage. So first off, what even is Psychonauts? Now, this obviously is going to have spoilers, 20-year-old game spoilers, so make sure to turn away if you don't want to hear it. But Psychonauts follows Rasputin, or Raz, a kid born into a family of circus performers. And Raz has a dream, a weird dream, a dream his family absolutely hate. He wants to become a psychonaut, a psychic super agent who literally jumps into people's minds to help them fight emotional monsters. And to chase that dream, Raz runs away from the circus and sneaks into Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp, a camp where gifted kids are trained in psychic combat to mentally discipline and, levitating squirrels or whatever. They do a lot of weird things at this camp. And from the moment Raz arrives, it's clear he's talented. Even the adult instructors are like, who is this kid? And why is he cracked at psychic ability? But right as Raz starts training, things take a weird turn. Kids at camp start losing their brains, literally. Now, Raz can't stand by and watch his summer camp friends turn into empty-eyed zombies, so he begins investigating. And here's where Psychonauts becomes its more special kind of why. Instead of questioning suspects, Raz enters their mind. Each mind is a full-on world, a worn-torn battlefield, a neon disco dance-off, a twisted mailroom, giant theaters, a psychedelic bullfighting festival based on your guilt. Every mind gives new context about the character, their trauma, their secrets, their fears, and it reflects the game's biggest strength, the imagination of these worlds. As Raz digs deeper, he uncovers the actual villain, Coach Oleander. One of the instructors is stealing the kids' brains so he can place them into psychic-powered soldiers for his personal army. And because this is Psychonauts, he plans to control that army using literally irradiated psychic meat. Raz eventually confronts Oleander inside the merged mental world made of Raz's greatest fear, water, which we learn in the beginning of the game, and Oleander's obsession with war. The final battle is basically two childhood traumas fist-fighting each other while Raz tries not to drown in his own anxiety. I mean, what is this game? It's too realistic in my opinion. But Raz wins, frees other campers, and just when he's about to celebrate, the legitimate Psychonaut agents show up and recruit him for a real mission with a cliffhanger in. The story is creative, original, funny, emotional, and genuinely heartfelt. But this brings us to the big question. Is Psychonauts still good 20 years later? Now, let's be honest, nostalgia is powerful. It can make the most mediocre old game feel like a treasure. I mean, when I go back and play those GameCube Lord of the Rings games, I still love them. They look so bad, but they're so fun to play. Nostalgia is a big factor, but when you play a game in 2025, you're comparing it to modern games with smooth controls, high-res textures, and cinematics that cost more than my rent. So does Psychonauts survive the jump from 2005 to 2025? Well, the answer is yes, but there are some noticeable wrinkles in the game. Let's get more into the details. So first, we're going to start with the con. I mean, the first thing, every game from the 2000s kind of suffers from this, is the pacing is slow. I mean, painfully slow at times. Psychonauts doesn't immediately hit the gas pedal. It feels like the game wants you to walk around camp, talk to everyone, do optional stuff, and eventually gets to the good part. Even the early powers take a while to unlock. And you get a glimpse of the fun you'll have later, but opening hours feels kind of like a drag. Now, you do get to ride rail, and I have to admit, I am a sucker for rails. I love rails in any game that has ever been made. Sonic, all those other games where you ride rails. Rail riding, awesome. They should bring it back. But back in 2005, slower pacing wasn't unusual. Games were trying to teach players gradually It wasn't as common as it is today. And attention spans weren't TikTok level short. But in 2025, with my YouTube brain, especially if you're used to fast-paced storytelling, the slow start can test your patience for sure. And then that kind of brings us to the graphics. Yeah, they don't hold up too well. Now, the art style is still great. I'll talk about that later in the pros, but the actual graphics, the textures, the models, the lighting, you can definitely tell this game came out during the peak of everything looks like clay doll covered in Vaseline type era. Raz's face sometimes looked like it's made of Play-Doh. NPCs looked like they were rendered on a Nintendo 64 that was having a bad day. Cutscenes are charming, but definitely dated. Are the graphics bad? Not at all. But compared to the crisp visuals we get now, Psychonauts definitely shows its age. And another thing that I kind of didn't enjoy was the gameplay can get a little janky, and the camera loves fighting. This is easily one of the biggest aged poorly aspects of this game. The platforming feels a little loose, a little slippery, a little inconsistent. Sometimes Raz jumps like he has springs in his shoes, and sometimes he jumps as if gravity is holding him down like a 400-pound horse. Hit detection can be weird, some climbs feel imprecise, and the camera, man, oh my gosh, the camera has some extreme beef with you. It swings weird, it gets stuck behind geometry, it flips angles unexpectedly, and overall feels like it's trolling you the entire time. In 2005, players kind of just accepted the janky platforming. It was kind of an added difficulty aspect of the game, but in 2025, with games refining controls to buttery smoothness, the jank stands out a lot more and makes it a lot more annoying than kind of a difficulty aspect, if that makes sense. And then finally, we'll move on to the humor. Now, this isn't bad. It is a kid's game, but as a 28-year-old adult, some of the jokes just don't hit as good as they would if I was like 12. There's a lot of slapstick, a lot of haha, he lost his brain type humor. Some emotional jokes still land, but the tone is definitely aimed at younger audiences. Like I could see 12-year-old bearded looking at this game and laughing his brains off and farting and doing all this nonsense, but it's not my thing nowadays because I've gotten old. If you grew up with the game, the humor probably feels nostalgic, but if you're coming in fresh as an adult, some of the jokes might just be a bit goofy or even cringy. Not necessarily bad, just not something that's made for me, if that makes sense, because I'm older now. When I was younger, I probably would have loved it. But let's go ahead and talk about the good thing that Psychonauts does. The story is still fantastic and incredibly creative. I mean, even though the humor is kid-friendly, the writing is clever. The world building is original. The concept of exploring people's mental worlds in their brain is brilliant. And honestly, I've been playing games since I was a kid. I have never seen a game that has done that before, and I really appreciated the creativity and the storytelling. The emotional themes hit deeper now as an adult because you actually understand what the characters are going through, the trauma, the insecurity, the guilt, the self-doubt. These aren't just quirks. They're real psychological struggles disguised as fun level. I genuinely see why kids love it, but also why adults didn't forget it. And that kind of brings me to the art style of how it's still good. Even though the graphics are not the best, the art style still kind of holds up. This is probably the game's biggest strength. I mean, the art direction is unique, it's stylized, it's instantly recognizable. Every area has a vibe, a purpose, and a personality. I mean, you have the Milkman conspiracy level that looks like Tim Burton fever dream. Sasha's mind is a sterile geometric cube representing emotional control. Mila's mind is glamorous dance party hiding deep sorrow. I mean, this style ages way better than realistic graphics ever could. I mean, we are overdoing it nowadays with the realistic graphics. We're getting to a point where they're trying to spend 50 hours trying to make a river look as realistic as it can when they could just use a kind of artistic vibe and it would hold up way better, just like Psychonauts does 20 years later from when it released. And so I don't know if this necessarily counts as a pro, but I have to say, if I played this as a kid, I would have loved it. There's a spark here, something magical, imaginative, and fearless. I mean, it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon mixed with a weird dream, and you had been eating too much sugar. But I really do love it. I enjoy the idea, especially if I was younger, of going around and talking to all these kids and enjoying the story and just exploring everything. As I get older, I don't have as much time or understand the humor as much, but if I was younger, this game would have really done it for me. And if you grew up with a game like Spyro, Sly Cooper, Jack and Dexter, or even Billy Hatcher, this scratches the same itch as those games do. And then this moves me on to the final pro of this game, and that is just the coolness of the psychic abilities and how they're genuinely fun. It does take a bit to unlock everything, but once you do, the powers add a lot of creativity to the gameplay. Levitation feels good, telekinesis is satisfying, pyrokinesis makes you feel mischievous in the best way, shielding, confusion bombs, clairvoyancy, all fun tools. And even mental worlds use powers in different ways, keeping things fresh once the game finally gets going. The abilities are genuinely awesome and just fun to unlock. So would I say Psychonauts is still good in 2025? Yes, but with some caveats. If you can handle slower pacing and dated graphic and janky cameras with a kid-focused humor, you're going to find a game that's genuinely charming, creative, and full of heart. It's not just a platformer, it's an experience built around imagination and emotion. Psychonauts is still worth playing because it offers something that even a lot of modern games don't: a chance to explore the human mind in a fun, symbolic, meaningful way. It's not perfect, it's not modern, but it still shines in all the ways that really matter. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed my opinions, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, but otherwise just let me know. Was I too harsh? Was I too easy on it? Or was I just right? But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.